Hello and welcome to this week's episode of Dadas Show, coming to you from the newly refurbished Manzoni 680 Hotel. I'm your host, Ashiko Mbune. Now, as always, the Dadas Show aspires to promote the spirit of sisterhood and solidarity amongst the women of Kenya. And we do this by creating an open and a safe platform for women to discuss any and all issues ascertaining to their health and well-being, their lifestyle, their career, their families, and any other topic that affects them in one way or another. We also pride ourselves in having real conversations that matter not only to women, but to families and our community at large. Today, we are diving into a topic that many parents, guardians, and even educators are silently struggling with. That is stress and anxiety amongst our teenagers and our pre-teens. Already in a world filled with academic pressure, social media, identity crisis, and of course, the anxiety for the future, our young people are faced with an even heavier emotional load than we ever were. So on this particular episode of Dadas Show, we are joined by a team of experts who will help us unpack this sensitive yet very urgent conversation. They will teach us how to recognize the signs of stress and anxiety in our children, how to support them, and most importantly, how to equip them with ways, with empowering and healthy ways to manage their stress and anxiety. As always, we'll welcome you at home to take part in this and any other conversation we may have on our social media pages at KBC Channel 1. You can also reach us on Facebook at Dadas Show KBC or personally at Ashiko, the host, across all social media platforms. Before we get into today's conversation, let's take a look at the following feature.
Stress and anxiety pose major mental health issues for preteens and teenagers in Kenya, with research showing high rates along with a range of contributing factors. Stress is defined as any external event or any internal drive that threatens to upset a person's balance, and a state or emotion that a person experiences when they believe that the demands are greater than their capacity to mobilize social and personal resources. Majority of individuals view stress negatively. Young people go through various life challenges that contribute to the high levels of stress and anxiety. In school, the pressure to perform well and study hard to pass examinations can take a toll on most teenagers. Emotional and physical changes happening in their bodies during puberty may also be overwhelming and disturbing on many young people. It is during this stage that they may also grapple with social relationships as they develop an attraction to the opposite sex or struggle to fit in, to get approval, and to be considered as cool by their peers. Lack of parental support and strained family relationships are critical challenges. Adolescents often cite society and family pressures as significant sources of stress and depression. Bullying in school can also take a toll on young people and impact them negatively. According to World Health Organization in 2019, reported that mental health conditions such as depression and anxiety account for 16% of the global burden of disease and injury among adolescents, but most cases are undetected and untreated. Stress in teens may not look like what you expect, and signs can range from physical, emotional, behavioral to mental. Physical manifestations of stress are common, such as frequent headaches or stomach aches. Trouble falling or staying asleep can be a sign of stress. Some anxious or depressed teens sleep too much. Problems with schoolwork and grades can be both a cause of stress and the results of it. Although teens tend to be moody by nature, a stressed out teen is likely to be more irritable than usual. If these signs are persistent, interfere with daily life, or escalate to thoughts of self-harm or suicide, it is important to seek help. Parents can help teenagers to cope effectively with stress by taking time to listen to them so they can feel understood and loved. They can build their self-esteem by encouraging them to think positively about themselves, celebrate accomplishments, and look at failures as opportunities for growth or improvement in life. For Dadas Show, my name is Miriam Odanga.
Welcome back. If you're just joining us, remember our conversation of the day is stress and anxiety management in preteens and teens. We've already established that our current teens are dealing with a much heavier emotional load because of certain factors that are making them, that are making life for them a little bit easier, and are of course making them predisposed to stress and anxiety. So our panel of experts consists of some wonderful ladies. Right next to me, I've got Madam Olive Karani, who is a clinical psychologist, actually focusing on children, right? So we're in the best kind of hands because now wewe kazi yako, you focus on the kids, on the teens and the preteens, yeah? Good. So your best place to tell us, what are some of the triggers? What are they talking to you? When they come to see you, what are some of the complaints that they have? So karibu sana Olive Karani. And right next to her, we've got Ruth Aringo. Thank you so much, Madam Aringo, for being here with us, who is a life coach extraordinaire. I have to acknowledge my wonderful, wonderful, wonderful audience. And amongst our audience, we've got educators, we've got mentors, people who have actually taken time out of their day to learn how we can be able to better support our young ones. Asanteni sana for being here. And for you at home, for tuning in to us every single Sunday as we discuss, as we learn, as we support each other through the conversations we have. So we will start right off with you, Olive. I'm always a firm believer of, for us to find a solution, we actually have to find the root cause. What is the problem, So kindly enlighten us on the difference between the normal stress, because I understand there is normal stress, and of course the clinical definition of stress and anxiety in the preteens. What's the clinical definition and the one that's normal, the one you're told, lala tu, you'll be fine tomorrow, breathe in,
Thank you so much. Normal stress, normal anxiety is as is, normal. It is very temporary in nature. It is manageable. It is what we go through so that we can cover life challenges. So we have to go through normal anxiety. When we're looking at clinical anxiety, it is very intense in nature, and it is also very prolonged in nature. So, for example, it's when we are talking of the intensity, when someone is seated behind, I can see you shivering, shaking. So you can see the symptomologies from even a distance. But there are some that you cannot see from a distance when we are talking of symptoms of clinical anxiety. You might find someone going through heart palpitations. Those are not visible. Gastrointestinal problems, concentration issues, appetite issues, sleeping problems. There are problems in sleeping patterns when we're talking of insomnia. Specifically, anxiety touches on sleeping, insomnia. So when we're looking at preteens, because some preteens are not able to vocalize what is going on, you might notice behavioral issues like bedwetting. You'll find them clinging onto safe spaces. Or persons like their parents. You might find that they're avoiding particular triggers that cause anxiety or depression, and they could be either places or persons. So there are many symptomologies that show clinical anxiety. But the difference of normal and clinical anxiety is just the intensity and the period that it might last. And the period might last between 1 week, and it can go on for years. For example, people with generalized anxiety disorders, it goes on for years and years. Yes.
Oh, wow. Thank you so much. Thank you for enlightening us. So I'm sure if their parents, their guardians, their teachers who are at home, and you have been able to pinpoint and notice that particularly maybe your child or your student has any of the particular symptoms that Olive has presented to us here, then you can know, what? Then there's definitely a cause for alarm. Thank you so much for that. I want to move on to you, Ruth. What are some of the, early warnings that a young person might be struggling with anxiety and overwhelming stress, and what are some of the red flag behaviors that the parents and the educators should know?
I want to talk from an educator's point of view because I handle teens every day, the whole week. Many times you'll find that these children tend to isolate themselves. They don't want to walk in groups, so they want to stay alone. Some of them are very They will not complete their work, for example. You ask for their work in class, it's not completed because they are anxious. Some of them, you'll find them not grooming well. So you'll find they are very untidy in their grooming. And because they are also suffering from this anxiety, you'll find that they're unable to concentrate in class. So they lose focus. They are not groomed well at all. They cannot... They can't even articulate whatever you ask them. They can't articulate it well. And you'll find some of them even losing appetite. As she rightly said, some of them lose appetite or even eat a lot. Some of them go to the extent of wanting to please others so much. Wanting to please their friends because they're kind of perfectionist. They want to ensure that they fit. So if they don't fit, that really makes them that makes them so sad and so anxious. So those are some of the things. There are many.
And normally we have this tendency, and I remember even when we were growing up, there would always be somebody in class who is always feeling unwell. Thank you so much for enlightening us on that. So Olive, back to you. Based on your experience and interactions with the teens and preteens, how has the modern environment, especially social media and academic pressure, changed how the young people experience stress?
I will say social media is a double-edged sword. In one way, you'll find that the youth, preteens and teens, are using social media to somehow alleviate stress, and it's this way.
Yes.
They are channeling their creativity through social media. When we're talking of releasing stress, that part of movement in itself is being creative. The others are doing pottery, doing some drawings in a way to channel stress. So in the positive light. In the negative light, there are those who are using social media to the doom scrolling.
Yes.
Doom scrolling is where people just want to sit for hours and hours on social media, just scrolling. And what is happening? Time is gone. You were supposed to do some work, schoolwork, you've not done. You had work from your parents to do, you've not done. So what happens? They start feeling guilty. They have been comparing themselves with other people in the social media, not knowing that those are filtered versions of their lives. So here they are, they've not achieved anything because of the time wasted. They have low self-esteem because they have been comparing themselves with filtered versions of other people. They start suffering from low self-esteem, self-hate, self-blame quickly because of so many things that are going on in their psyche. They start having sometimes suicidal ideations, depression. So for me, social media is a double-edged sword.
It's a double-edged sword, yeah.
But when used well, with boundaries, I think it can be very productive. However, with boundaries.
With boundaries.
Yes.
And those boundaries not only come from us as the parents, the mentors, the guardians, but also from the social media people themselves. Let's talk about academic pressure, because some of us, the millennials who grew up, if you fail in any of your exams, you failed in life. How is that the same case nowadays? Do they feel that now, especially now that we've been exploring, creativity, talents versus cramming theory, books? Is that the same pressure they're experiencing?
Yes, they are experiencing that. And when we are looking at academic pressure, is the pressure that we were seeing is under the normal parts of pressure. Everyone here has gone through academics.
True.
So academics is known to have its own particular pressure. So you'll find some students are able to handle that pressure. Other students are not able to handle that pressure, and these are the ones we are talking about. So what happens to this student who is not able to handle that academic pressure? When there's no time for rest, and then there's no time for failure with academics sometimes. So what happens? They get a lot of anxiety. They get a lot of self-blame, they even self-hate, because every other time their self-worth is being measured with academic performance.
Yeah. I have a question for both of you, but I'll start off with you, Ruth. How can we create, now that we know that, we know that what these kids, or rather, we don't even fully understand it, we have caught a glimpse thanks to you guys. How can we, as parents, as guardians, as mentors, as educators, as teachers, create a safe space? Actually, no, let's start with the parents. How can we create a safe space for our children at home so that they can actually be able to open up about their feelings and share with us what's happening in their life? I'll start off with you, Ruth.
Okay. Okay, as parents, I would want to advise parents to learn to listen to their children. Many times, many parents dismiss, so they don't validate whatever the child is saying. But it's also important to have spaces, actually rooms, whether it is at home or at school, but just to have spaces where this child or this teenager is able to air whatever they are. Are they comfortable speaking about it? Are they comfortable? Just yesterday, as she was talking, I just remembered one case. A child came to me, actually last night, and told me that, you know what, I feel like, and she's very young, she's in Form 2, I feel like I have reached a dead end with my mathematics and Kiswahili, and for that reason, I want to commit suicide. I have attempted to commit suicide before, but I wasn't successful. But now I feel like I have reached the end. But she came to me because she felt that I would be able to listen to her. So it is good for parents to listen to their children, create a space, some space where they can express themselves. It could be in a counseling room. It could be at home, it could be even at a friend's place, where they can trust whoever they are speaking to and where they can be listened to as they express themselves.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Thank you so much for that. I want to move on to the next question, for the sake of time. Let's move on now to strategies. How do we help them? Olive, what are some healthy, practical strategies that teens, because remember, we're still in the age of where we still need to explain and decipher the importance of therapy and life coaching, etc. But what are some of the strategies that teens and preteens can, you can give them so that they can be able to manage this stress on their own? Because remember, they are away for school for 3 months. How are they going to be able to deal? Exams are coming, mock. My son is in Form 4. How is he supposed to manage that? I'm not there to tell him it's okay, So how do we do that?
Yeah, thank you for that. I would urge that teenagers, when we're talking of anxiety, remember anxiety is worry. You always, so meaning there's something you're worried about. First is to understand what is this underlying issue that is causing your anxiety.
Yes.
Once you're able to understand what it is, meaning you're sitting with your feelings and trying to be present with what is going on in your life. So sit with those feelings, figure out what is happening. Once you figure out what's happening, then you have a way of creating, resolving the problem. However, there are people who are not able to actually find, or that problem is not resolvable in the moment. So for example, a teen is pregnant. You see, that's not resolvable right there and then. So what do? Sit with that, understand what is going on. If the anxiety is so intense, please practice deep breathing. Practice grounding techniques. We teach them in counseling, in our therapy rooms. Practice journaling. I know at that particular time when disturbance is intense, you need to vent.
You need to vent. You need to let it out.
Yes, you need to let it out. So practice journaling. If you are able to talk to a trusted person, please identify that trusted person. It could be your parent, an auntie, or even a therapist. Yes. You can also talk to a friend, by the way.
Oh, wow, that's good. So I hope our teenagers who are watching us at home and our preteens, whenever you're feeling that you're getting a little bit overwhelmed, take a book, take a biro, go to a corner where mom or dad or uncle, whoever or teacher is not going to see you, and write. Write what you're feeling, right? Do not care about tenses. It does not have to be in whatever. Nobody is coming to read that aside from you. So vent, pen it all on paper. I found that journaling is very, very therapeutic, especially if you're not one to open up to just everybody. Thank you so much. Now, I'll move on to you, Ruth, before we take a break. How can parents, at what point actually should parents and guardians consider seeking professional help like therapy or coaching?
Thank you. Now, remember when we started, she had mentioned that there is normal anxiety. So, and that one can be taken care of at home. However, you need to seek professional help when you see it going overboard. It is disrupting the normal functioning of this child. I have come across children or teenagers who self-harm. Yeah, it's disrupting. This child cannot do their work. They can concentrate in class. They procrastinate things. They are irritable. They are aggressive in nature, and it's just going overboard. So if it's going overboard, then it's time for you to seek therapy. So some of them self-harm, they cut themselves, some of them even burn themselves. I've come across a child burning, or rather, putting a hot iron on their thighs, and they want to hide it. So when it reaches that extent, then it's time for you to seek therapy, because you cannot handle it on your own.
You cannot handle it on
Yes.
your own. Wow. So let's say, but still to you as our final question of this session, how can we teach our young people to build emotional, resilience and self-awareness?
One of the ways you can do this is just by helping them develop healthy habits. Just developing healthy habits. If it is eating, if it is sleeping, can they have enough rest? Can they eat well? So you teach them how to do that. Do they have hobbies? And if they have hobbies, are they hobbies that is it something they really love to do? If it's something they love to do, help them to just engage in that. And again, join support groups.
Yes.
Get engaged with other children. There are others who also are suffering the same. But even if they are not suffering, but just get involved with other groups, so that you are not in your own space where you keep on thinking about your
What's
own problems.
on,
But again, they can go through therapy. And I know that therapists have a lot of ways that they can handle the children. But one of the ways that I think really, really works is what they call CBT. Cognitive Behavioral therapy. And this can help them just restructure their thinking. There's something that they also call, is it reframing? I think it is reframing, so that you see some of the challenges that you have as opportunities. You can always change your way of thinking, and that can help you get through that.
Oh, wow. The same question to you, Olive. How can we teach them? We want to, because we talked about, we want to equip them with ways that are going to be empowering, and, for them to be able to manage the stress and the anxiety, from a therapist's point of view.
I would probably like them to remember times when they used to do things, look back into their past and see moments when they overcame particular challenges, and go through the motions with them. How did you do this? What led you to do this and this? What did it take for you to move from point A to point B?
Yes.
So that now that child can tap into the past, what they did, the efforts they put in, and channel them to the present, and try and overcome whatever is going on. I would also pose this to the parents, where we were talking of creating safe spaces.
Yes.
So that this child knows that they have someone they can talk to, and that someone can feed energy back, or energy and life back to them. Because you're telling this child, you are talking to this child as you will talk to your friend, so they feel safe with you. So in that way, they are able to listen to all maybe the nuggets of wisdom that you as the parent are able to give.
To give them.
Yes.
Wow. So now here we are, and we talked about having various factions of a child's life. In your opinion, what role? Because all of this is always relegated to parents and guardians, and yet majority of the time these children are actually in school. So what role should teachers and schools play in the management of the students' stress and anxiety? So what role should they play in the management of stress and anxiety in teenagers and preteens?
I would say, number one, pay attention. The same way we were saying, be present, parent, be present for your child. School management, be present, be in touch with these children. You class teacher, you're the one who knows your class. Be present and listen to their problems. And I want to address this, Ashiko. There are schools that send students, the ones who are performing badly. Now I'm talking of academic performance. When they close school, the ones who have performed badly in school are made to report to school as the first students. And these are cases that I'm dealing with. Once they go back to school, what happens to their self-esteem? Okay, it is, when we're looking at someone like B.F. Skinner, who is a psychologist who came up with things like punishment and reward to change behavior. So I have a feeling the schools are using this to
that
change
particular
behavior.
theorem,
However, that punishment, have you evaluated it to see how it is effective to students? Students are becoming very suicidal because of such things. Number 2, create group therapies for those students to debrief. Kids need to debrief. They have so much they're going through. Remember, we have also dysfunctional families. We have divorced families. We have people who are coming from homes that have alcoholic parents. Please, talk to these children. Debrief them. Let's create spaces, safe spaces in school where they can talk and relieve their anxieties.
I think schools should also have teachers going through some kind of in-service so that they get to know about these problems, because you'll find that they do not know. A teacher comes in and simply teaches the subject that they teach. I demand for my homework, the assignment that I gave you, and that's it. And probably you may not blame the teacher because it's lack of knowledge, lack of exposure. If the school has a guidance and counseling office, I think it's very important for the school also to work very closely with professionals and also with parents. So many times you'll find that the educators are struggling on their own, and yet we have professionals all over. So that would help students, because there's a lot of suicidal cases in schools.
My call to action today for everybody who is watching us is stress and anxiety management, especially for teenagers and preteens, is not just a parent's responsibility. It's not just the guardian's responsibility. It is all of us holding hands together to ensure that everybody is getting help from, from the government, from the public sector. Everybody needs to be involved, and everybody needs to be helped so that we can be able to ensure that these children thrive. So we are going to take a short break, and then we'll be back for the question and answer session from our wonderful audience. I hope this conversation is as enlightening to you as it is for me. So we'll be back after a few clicks. Welcome back. If you're just joining us, remember the episode is stress and anxiety management in preteens and teens. Always remember that the Dadas Show is a safe space for us to have real conversation, talk about real stories, and also learn from each other and support each other. So remember to join us on all our social media pages at KBC Channel 1, my personal page at Ashiko the Host across all social media platforms, and our Facebook page at Dadas Show KBC. Let's start off the question and answer session with our Gen Z. She's in the thick of things. She understands this thing real life. She's got a question. So karibu sana, please tell us your name.
Thank you. My question is, how can we show support to someone who has anxiety and self-harms but denies it and doesn't want to speak up about it?
Thank you for that question. If someone is self-harming, and I'm imagining it's something like cutting, I think as a friend who cares, you should talk to a safe person, a grown-up, someone who is safe to them. Convince them. Be very empathetic when you're doing it. Be present with them. Understand where they're coming from, and try to convince them to talk to someone like a parent if that's a safe space for them. And again, if they keep refusing, they can guilt trip you. That's what they do. They'll tell you, if you do that, you're betraying me, you're betraying my trust. Please notice that if that person cuts and blood is on the floor, what will you do at that point? Will you not call that parent? You will, right? So imagine that situation going to the worst. Because when we're doing self-harming, it is under the categories of suicidal ideations. It's not yet suicide, but it is categorized under the suicidalities. So imagine if this person did the worst possible and you were aware. So it is just honorable for you to push the needle further. Go to their safe space. They'll be angry, but for how long? You will have resolved that case.
There's some young people who may not talk at all, what you call selective mutism. But I think in such a scenario, you can encourage them to write. What you are talking about, journaling. Encourage them to write. Probably when they write, they are able to express themselves. I have gotten a lot of young people writing whatever they cannot speak, and you'll get a lot of information from the written work. Yeah.
Thank you so much for that. So we'll move on to our next question or comment of the day. That is from Stella.
My name is Stella Winnie Rabach. I am a mom, I am a mentor, educator, a content creator, and also a mental wellness advocacy. Now, my question is, how will you be able to notice, or how will you be able to tell that your teen or preteen is self-harming as a parent or as a guardian?
These young people have friends. The mother may not know what is going on with the young person, but they have friends who the mother can always talk to. And apart from that, teachers are very important. You'll find that there's something that a child is doing at school and the parent does not know totally. So it is very important for you to be very close to the teacher so that you can get information from the teacher. And apart from that, you also may notice children wearing in a particular way so that they cover whatever scars they could have made on themselves. You'll find that the weather is very, very hot, but this child is wearing a sweater and is also wearing a fleece jacket and is wearing a trouser because they don't want you to see what is going on. Yeah. So in that way, you may be able to tell. Yeah, although sometimes it may be difficult, but you may be able to tell. Even when they are swimming, take them for swimming, and you may notice something.
Yeah. I was about to say that, being smart, and I think it all rides on being present.
Yeah.
If you're present, if you're a present parent, if you're a present educator, if you're a present teacher, guardian, whichever, you will actually be able to note a difference in behavior. It may be as subtle, even though the child is very withdrawn, it may be very subtle, but you will notice that there's something. And because you're a present parent and you know they're friends, it's very easy for you to go and say, hiya, how's Nani doing? Are you guys okay? Is Nani okay? Is everything? Because you've befriended them, you've become one of their buddies. So when it comes, I think, to raising, like, and I always keep on saying, there's no particular manual. However, being present gives you leverage to know what is happening and what is not happening. So coming up right now, I actually am very, very pleased to introduce, we've got a teen pastor in our audience and a man, a ndugu for dadas, who is going to tell us, most of the time emotional things are delegated to women, but we've got a gentleman in our midst who will tell us what his take is on today's conversation. Karibu sana, Pastor Aringo.
My name is Ken Aringo. I'm a minister of the gospel, a father, a proud husband. This is a very important discussion, especially the times that we live in. The issue of teens and preteens on stress and anxiety. I speak as a parent, but also someone who has been involved in this ministry called parenting for 22 years. I say that because of my fellow fathers, boy child.
Yeah.
I think sometimes what happens is when I hear a present parent, I wonder, how do we do it as men, knowing where some of us were raised or how some of us were raised, where our fathers were not present, not because they didn't want, but just because of how the society is patterned, that a man ni kwenda kuhunt, tunaenda kuwinda, wamama ni homemakers. So we are this absentee father thing. How do we become present in this day and age for our boys, for our girls? because I know sometimes, especially when the preteens are going through those developmental stages, if it's a boy child, for example, they are sensitive about telling their moms about some of their private issues. And so if dad, you are absent at that point in time, what happens to this boy who is uncomfortable sharing with the mom about an issue that they feel a man will connect better?
Thank you so much. You have spoken volumes, and you've spoken what most of us, especially mothers, always crave for and always want to share to our male counterpart parents. So our next question or comment is from Sue. So karibu sana.
Thank you, Ashiko. I'm Sue Musando, founder of a parenting adolescent group, Parenting Teenagers Hub. It's a support group for parents of adolescents. And one question that keeps coming up almost daily is, how do I tell whether my son is or my daughter is anxious or stressed, or they're manipulating me, or they're pretending?
Thank you for that question. And I do know many teenagers go through this. Number one, to just put a bit of education to it, realize that when they get into teenage, they are going through a particular phase of identity versus confusion. And they're trying to find their independence, they're learning who they are. Yeah? So these symptoms, obviously, there is the biological changes, there's the mood swings, there is the hormonal imbalance. So when we're talking of the anxiety, maybe because of the moods, you notice they're not long-term. The intensity, so when we're talking of clinical anxiety or stress, we are looking at the intensity and the duration. So if you notice there's a problem with your child, those symptoms will not just last for minutes or hours, then they come back. If you, for normal teenagers who are going through normal mood swings, changes, you'll notice that those mood swings will last for an hour, 30 minutes, and then they bounce back to normalcy, and then the next 30 minutes, But when we're talking of a problem, you will notice it like a whole week. This child has literally isolated herself from her social circle. Remember, in this stage of adolescence, they're very keen with their social circles. They're not even listening to mom. They want to be away with their socials. That's why you're finding them also on the phone. So for those types of changes, they are very intense. You will notice that isolation. You will notice they have lost interest in the things they used to like doing. If someone was a sports person, they don't even want to do those things. There is lack of concentration in things that they would want. And we're talking of periods of time, not just an hour, then the next one, or today they don't feel, tomorrow they feel. We're talking of something like a week. We're talking of anxiety, heart palpitations, going for periods, long periods of hours. Okay, so these symptomologies, the difference is the amount of time. If you notice your child is locking herself for a whole day, a day is even okay with teenagers, imagine, but a whole week, you need to start conversations. And parents, let's put in the work. Every time you might think a child is pretending, well, how about you take it, assume it's true. Assume that child is actually true. Maybe they're having gastrointestinal problems. Then take it as true. Maybe they're pretending to maybe evade some work that you've given them, but they told you, my stomach is truly paining, I am sick. Fine, give them that time. If it lasts for a few periods of time, then maybe it was true. If it lasts longer, take them to hospital. Put in the work as a parent. Take them to that hospital. That hospital will not lie. They will do tests, right? And you will find the results. Once, if it comes out wrong, then now you will have a different conversation. And parents, we have this thing of now you found that the results are negative. You are pretending. You are pretending. No, change that conversation. Try to understand the underlying issues. Because by the time the child is behaving that way, meaning they are not even finding you, the parent, as a safe space. So now change the conversation. Engage. Put in the work. This part of adolescence of identity versus confusion is a place now where we are tussling. Child and parent, we are tussling. Why? This child is rediscovering us. And you are treating this child like the child who was 4 years old. So by the time you are meeting, you who is the grown-up have to change your way of doing things. You're the one who will try to fit into this child who is growing's mentality. I hope I've answered the question.
Oh, wow. Really, really well. Need I say more? Let's move on to our next question or comment of the day. Asante sana, by the way, Olive. I really hope everybody is learning a thing or 2 or 10. Our next question or comment is from Jocelyn.
My name is Jocelyn McCready. I'm a mom to a teen. Now, mine is a comment. Sometimes we don't really understand whether the teenager understands stress. But what I know, what happens with my son, what he does is he takes walks, and sometimes he does art, so that releases his stress. And I can also say that even washing dishes can cause stress. So once you tell them to wash the dishes, don't keep on repeating. Just let them be, because even when you repeat, they want you to repeat so that you can also be stressed. Yeah, thank you.
But yes, thank you so much for that. Let's move on to our next question or comment. That is from Monica.
My name is Monica. I am a mother to teens and preteens, as well as the head of operations from Peter James Associations, where we deal with kids who have neurological disorders. So we come along with these anxiety issues in so many ways every day. So I have a niece of mine who is 13 years old, and she started developing anxiety issues, or what I can say, after diagnosis. And she started isolating herself, and at some point she started overdosing from collecting painkillers in the house and taking them without anyone noticing. At some point, she confessed that when we took her to the doctor, she said she has been taking. She started writing some small notes of things that look like suicidal notes, and she gave herself some timeline. And it's the mother who realized when she went to clean the room, and she found the things that were hidden in the room. So early this year, she started feeling like her hand was failing. She could not feel the part of her hand. Even she will bite or try to eat it on the wall, and she said she doesn't feel any pain. So it's at that point that the mother decided to take her to the doctor, a neurologist, who took her through some tests. And the only thing that the outcome was like, you, mom, you need to seek psychologist intervention immediately. And if you don't do, you will see this child doing some crazy things, like even soiling herself very soon. So it is something very saddening, and it is that very short time. There was a time she was taken to the boarding school, and she could not stay there. Now, anxiety issues or the depression and those kind of issues were brought by the family problems, what she sees at home every time. And she felt like she would be the one to solve this, or maybe she's the problem. So in the quest to try and solve it, she thought maybe eliminating herself was one of the ways. And now the mother, although she has not started therapy, I wanted to know if there is anything you can tell this child or such kids, because I know there are many out there who are going through the same. In the family, is there anything they can do? You can tell them, maybe so that they don't put themselves in the problems of their families or parents, and just think about themselves and education. I wanted to know about that. And my second question is, are there alternatives for therapy in Kenya? Because therapy is very expensive.
First part, how do you deal with anxiety and stress when the external factors that are out of the child's control? It's not education, it's not peer pressure, it's not social media, it is family issue. And I think the second question was, what is the alternative? Is there an alternative? Because therapy in these economic times, for some people can actually be expensive. Is there a place that is free? Yeah, so kindly tackle those two.
Thank you for that observation, and my heart goes out to your niece. I cannot imagine what she's carrying, the load she's carrying on her back for things that are really out of her control. And the word is things that are out of her control. But she has imagined that because of the dysfunction in the family, she's probably the problem solver. And mine goes to the parents, because the parents are the ones causing all this. They are fighting up there. They've forgotten the kids down here. And that's the reason why she's carrying all this fear and anxiety, and it translates to depression. So since she has created a mind, a frame of mind, that she is the reason why, in fact, by the time she's cutting herself and writing the suicidal notes, is because she feels like if she was away from this situation, maybe mom and dad will come back together. So why I'm bringing this aspect is for you to understand, maybe parents should actually put a word of encouragement to the child to help her understand that this situation is as is. It is a grown-up's issue. You were talking about the
alternative for therapy.
Yes, therapy, I acknowledge it is a problem. It's not that easily accessible, because of the charges again. And I want to say that there are some free therapy places like Huduma. They have a place where they offer free counseling. If you go to any Huduma here, you'll find an allocated place for therapy. If you check on Google, there are free toll lines where you can also get therapy. And if you engage even with other therapists, you'll see the prices are different, just like hospitals. You'll go to a hospital that is highly priced. You'll also go to a hospital that you can afford. So therapy is very important. It is necessary at this day and age. It helps so much than I think the normal person really imagines. You can move from point A to point Z in healing, So seek that support. It is available. Look for us, look for me. I'm ready to offer my services.
Asante sana for that, Olive. And I really hope that you've been able to be assisted. So our final question or comment of the day is from Mr. John.
My name is John Williams. I have a friend of mine. Her parents, mostly his father or her father is an introvert, but her mother is an extrovert. So her mother thinks that she is bad girl, and in her thoughts, she thinks that is a good girl. So most of the time, her mother is questioning her. Her mother is keep on questioning, maybe in all the time that she's doing. Maybe, for instance, she works very late in the morning. So her mother thinks that this is a mistake, I should rectify. Through rectification, he questioned. Not that he is giving a solution, but he is questioning her. Maybe when he's the time that he's not maybe in job, he's using her phone. So her mother thinks that the phone is turned in a disadvantaged way. So he questioning her, why are you using the phone, yet the child is not using the phone when she's working? How will this child maybe feel at home? Or maybe he thinks that he's not in a way that he's in a peaceful environment.
I think that it's only fair for parents to listen to their children, because many times when parents don't listen to their children, they push them away from them so that they make decisions that are regretted later. So parents, I want to encourage parents just to listen to their children. Have conversations with your child instead of assuming. Many times in families there are assumptions that are made, and because of these assumptions, families go haywire. But I want to also encourage the young people to learn to speak up. When you exchange ideas, just learn to speak up, so that you're also listened to. There are some young people who find themselves very comfortable at school, but probably when they go back home, they are very uncomfortable, and they look forward to schools being opened. I've come across students who do not even want schools to be closed because they just don't want to be with their parents at all. And it's a very sad situation, because I thought that home is, for many children, home is a safe space. But when the school becomes more of a safe space than at home, then there is definitely a problem. So I encourage parents, please listen to your children. Just listen, create that safe space that Daktari was talking about so that they are able to express themselves and do not make assumptions so that we avoid more problems.
Let her speak up. Let her speak up to maybe an auntie or a cousin or someone who she finds safe. I liked her safe person. And maybe this adult can be able to talk to the mom and say, by the way, akichelewa kukuja nyumbani, si ati alikuwa hapa. If she's on her phone, it's because of ABCD. So I want to give my panelists a brief opportunity to give us our final parting shot of the day. What are the final words of encouragement that you would give a teen who's watching today and feels misunderstood or overwhelmed? I want to start off with you, Ruth, and then we will finish up with you, Olive.
One thing I would like to tell the teens out there, please learn to speak. Don't keep things to yourself. Please talk even to your friend. Because the moment you coil and keep things to yourself, then one thing that will happen to you, you will deteriorate and go from bad to worse, and you'll start having thoughts of ending your life, and it's like people are not listening to you. So just open up your mouth and speak. Whatever problem you're going through. I know that teenagers go through so many problems and they feel like they're not being listened to at home, or things have just happened out there and they have come to school and they are wondering because even their own teachers, they are scared of the teachers. So they don't even want to talk to the teachers or to talk to their friends. But the bottom line is you must learn to open up and speak. That is the only way that you will get help.
Okay,
Yeah.
Wow, please speak. I like that. What about you, Olive, as we close?
I think I want to tell the preteens and the teens that you matter. Your life matters. You matter. You are loved. Your life is beyond now. Sometimes we focus on the now, we forget the future. And when we focus on the now, you see how anxiety can become, a huge thing. So you matter, you are loved, and the future is bright.
Need I say more? I think my parting shot would be what you said. Put in the work. Parents, guardians, educators, put in the work. We sort of just grew us like weeds. One day you were small, the next day you're big. But it's not the same thing because humanity is evolving, and this is a different. There's a different generation who feel their fields, and their fields matter, and whatever they're going through, do not dismiss it. So, dad, mom, teacher, educator, guardian, put in the work. Spare a moment in your day, spare a moment over the weekend to touch base with your child and find out what's going on. And for everything's sake, do not downplay situations so that we can also avoid our children being part of the statistics. As always, we encourage you to keep this conversation going across all social media platforms on KBC Channel 1. You can also reach us at Dadas Show KBC on Facebook, or my personal pages at Ashiko the host across all social media platforms. I hope the conversation has been enlightening, and I hope to catch you next time. So on behalf of the production team at KBC, myself, Ashiko Mbune, and our location partner, Manzoni 680 Hotel, we wish you all a supportive, a loving week, and thank you for tuning. We'll catch you same time, same place next week. But for now, goodbye.